In today's how-to video, we want to talk about how to share hope in a time of crisis, and I'm joined by Rod Story. Rod, you're the Executive Vice President of EE International, which is great for you, and I know it's more than a job, it's your heart's passion to share the good news of Jesus and all of that stuff. But for people like me and those who might be watching who feel a little more timid about, bringing people to Jesus and all that sort of stuff, what do you want to say to us who are a bit more fearful and don't have a job of doing EE? What do you want to say to us?
That's a really good question. I guess first thing to say is that it's not a job, but it's what we're called to do, is to share Jesus. Mm-hmm. But we live in a world of fear. Mm-hmm. People are afraid of all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I mean, we're afraid I might offend my neighbour.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I invite them to church, maybe they'll be offended.
Yeah.
So a lot of fear, I think, which all of us have, no matter whether it's something you teach people to do or you preach people to do, comes out of misunderstandings, beliefs that are not real, but we think they're real.
Yeah.
So I think my starting point would be, think about some of the myths we have that hold us back from engaging with people about our faith.
Yeah. What do you think some of those myths are? What are the things that are causing us to think,
Yeah, why? I think there's several, and there's probably lots, but two that really come to my mind immediately. There's this idea that's predominant in Australian culture, particularly out there. No one's interested.
Yeah.
And I don't want to invade people's privacy.
Yeah.
And so that's a really predominant thinking that if I say something, I don't want to offend my workmate or my cousin.
Yeah.
And my conviction about this time we're living in now, this is a new opportunity for us to engage with people in a very different way. Mm. And instead of invasion, I like to think of it as I want to give people an invitation.
Okay, so, this is good because I live in a world with electric garage doors and 6-foot colour-bond fence. So invasion is something I'm programmed for.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the invitation.
Well, instead of thinking about starting to build a relationship with somebody or starting a conversation in a time of crisis, I mean, you turn the TV on in the morning, doesn't matter which channel you turn it on to, what do you see? All about the crisis.
Yeah, that's true.
And in fact, a conversation I'll refer to later, but I had yesterday, one lady said, I got to turn the TV off because it fills me with fear. Yeah. So we have similar fears about bringing hope into a situation of crisis. And so instead of thinking no one's interested, I want to encourage us to think, how can I invite people into a conversation that might help me to engage with them more in a more personal way, a more realistic way. Okay. That's the sort of thing I'm sort of thinking through. Shall I give you an example? Before the final day where you could get a haircut, I looked in the mirror and my wife said to me, "It's pretty shabby," and I suddenly thought, "What am I going to look like in 3 months' time when the hairdressers are gone?" And, a geriatric hippie with a ponytail, something like that.
I think we'd all enjoy that. That'd be good.
You might. I'm not too sure. Too many other people would. So anyway, I went to the hairdresser. Now I went up to Crown, to the plaza, and it was like a ghost town. So I had to go to 3 different places, and finally I found one hairdresser that was open. And I walked in and sat down, and the lady started, asked me what to do, and I said, "Look, I just want it all off so that I can grow it back."
Yeah.
And then, in order to provide invitation, I simply said to her, "How are you being impacted by this crisis?" And of course, you could not talk about it because the mall's half empty. Their business is about to close the next day. And so she talked about, well, at least I know I have a job when I come back. I've got other things I can do. But she said, my partner has an illness and it's serious. He's got immune deficiency. And I have fear about what that means about life and death.
Yeah.
Invitation which leads into a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, see, for me, that wasn't invasive.
Yeah.
But there's a reason it happens.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, the reason it happens is, I think, when we're coming to think about sharing our faith, the other fear that holds us back, I think, is it's up to me.
Yeah.
Like, what if I don't get it right?
Yeah.
What if I don't know what to say? What if, what if, what if, what if?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
therefore, I think we need to look at what Jesus said. When Jesus, and I'm sure all of our friends will remember this, but when Jesus was preparing to go,
Yeah.
he got the disciples together. And what did he tell them? He told them that the Comforter was coming, the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells us there what I think is the primary work of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
To convict the world of sin
Yeah.
and of righteousness
Yeah.
and of judgment.
Yeah.
Whose work is the witness?
Yeah.
See, it's not mine.
Yeah.
It is the Spirit
This
of
is
God.
the Spirit doing this. Yeah.
Did I convict that girl of her need for Christ? No.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far.
Mm-hmm.
But I started the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in 3 months' time I can continue.
Yeah.
But the important point for us here to learn, I think, today as we think about overcoming fear, as a Christian, it's not up to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the work of the Holy Spirit.
Uh-huh.
And so it's his job to convict.
Yeah.
I can't convict anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how many people I train to share their faith.
Yeah.
I can't convict anybody in the world
Yeah.
about their need for Christ.
Yeah.
That's the Holy Spirit's
Yeah.
work.
Look, it reminds me of that passage in Ezekiel where Ezekiel's shown the vision of the valley of the dry bones.
Yeah, yeah.
Who can make these come back to life? And you can imagine yourself as Ezekiel going, well, not I, only
Okay.
you, Lord, sort of thing. I think that brings that, what you're saying is a powerful illustration for me where I say, unless God does this, not going to happen.
Exactly.
So I don't even want to approach this from, it's on my shoulders. It's
Yeah.
not on my shoulders.
Yeah.
It's on God's shoulders.
Yeah, exactly.
What is on my shoulders? Do you think?
On my shoulders is the responsibility to be ready,
Yeah.
to believe that God can open doors that I can't open.
Mhm.
I didn't start that conversation with that
Yeah.
young lady.
Yeah.
He did. But he made me willing to have the conversation, to open an invitation,
It's fantastic.
so that it can help me and anybody else try it
Yeah.
and ask God to show me. Is there someone I can
Yeah.
give a word of hope to today
Yeah.
in the midst of crisis?
Okay. Well, we might wrap up on that
Yeah.
note. And in the next video together, we're going to talk about how to get started. So when the opportunities come and we start conversation, how do we get started and how do we have these conversations that witness to Jesus and bring hope in a time of crisis?